What's up guys, Joey here. So I want to do a video. It's my review for Halfway to the Grave and all of the other books in the series. I think there's 7 of the main books and a couple of novellas, but man, I love this book, but at the same time there were a few parts that threw me off, and I'm going to explain that to you guys and why. But first, I want you guys to check out a little bit of this art and fan art I found from the series. Love Cat and Bones, so check out these pictures. And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to go ahead and just voice over my review and let you guys know what I thought. Halfway to the Grave, a Night Huntress novel. Okay, first, what I liked the most about this book, and I feel guilty saying this because I love the story, but what I liked most was the narrator, Tavia Gilbert. And that's actually how I discovered the series. I read a book called 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray, and it was narrated by Tavia Gilbert. So I did a search on Tavia Gilbert, and I ran across Halfway to the Grave. And honestly, I really loved the book, but there was some things that threw me off, and I'll get into that in just a second. But the main characters in the story, first off, is Kat. She's a girl. Her mom was sexually assaulted by a vampire, and the result was her. She was half human, half vampire. And the reason that that was possible was because her dad was just turned into a vampire, so his fluids or whatever were still functional. And what she does is she kills vampires because of that, to kind of get revenge for her mom. So she goes to bars and lures vampires out with the promise of sex, and she lures them out and kills them until she runs across the other main character, Bones. And, she thinks, that she's going to lure him out and kill him like she does all the others, but she doesn't realize he's a master vampire. He's actually a man-whore slash gigolo who was turned into a vampire and became a hitman. And Bones and Cat are an unlikely pair who end up working together. He agrees to train her, and long story short, they end up falling in love. Now, what I didn't like about the book was all of the sex. It's like constantly sex. At least in every book, there's at least 2 chapters that's dedicated to just sex. And to me, it's just kind of awkward because the story's like so good, and you learn to love these characters. You kind of feel like they're your friends, and it's kind of like if you walked in the door, you open the door up, and your friends are in there getting it on. To me, I'm just going to shut the door and be like, my bad. So in the equivalent to that, I skipped the 6 chapters instead of just leaving the door open and breaking out the popcorn. I'm not trying to catch the show, and I don't want to read about 2 characters that I really like getting down with all the details. It's just I wasn't feeling that at all. But the characters are pretty awesome. They kind of remind me of like a Spike-Buffy relationship, and it's pretty awesome, and it's just really kick-ass. There's a lot of cool storylines. Each book has its own main story that's headed towards one main story. And also in the book, there's a few other characters, and other races. There's ghouls, which are really cool. And one of the things I thought that were super cool was, like, when you're turning a vampire, a human has to drink vampire blood and blah, 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 and, they turn into a vampire. But with the ghouls, it was something completely different. Like, in order to create a ghoul had to cut the human. Well, the human had to drink some vampire blood, but not enough to heal them and to, keep them alive. They had to drink some vampire blood, then die. And then they had to have their heart cut out and replaced with the heart of a ghoul. Because a ghoul, the only way to kill was to cut their head off, so they could live without their heart. So when the ghoul takes his heart out and puts it inside the human body, a vampire can cut their throat, bleed on it, and kind of activate the heart, and that's how a ghoul would be brought about. And there's a lot of cool stories. Each one's different. And like I said, if you can get past all the damn sex, and nothing against sex, please believe, I'd love to get it on as much as the next person, but I don't want to read about 2 really awesome characters just getting it on. It really sucked for me, and I thought it was unnecessary. The book would have been great without it. Now, some readers may get into that, I don't know, but to me, I felt like without that, the book could have stood alone and just been super, super badass. But I loved the story. I loved each one of the books. I felt like one of them weren't as good as the rest, but I'm not going to say which. I'm going to let you guys read that and figure it out on your own, but I didn't care much for the book with Gregor as the antagonist. I didn't really like him or that whole story, but everything else was super awesome. And besides ghouls, there's ghosts and remnants and just so much cool shit. And I really, really wish that this series would continue to go on. I'm hoping that she's going to continue. I'm not going to say anything else about the story because I don't want to ruin it for you guys. But they did kind of leave it open, so I think more books could be made. And I really look forward to that. And I hope you guys like this review, and don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see what I can get into next. Later.